My name is João Golão. I am the National Coordinator for Drugs in Portugal. You are watching BECKER'S But for Drug Truth Network.
Well, friends, we're privileged to have with us today, now retired, but I don't think he's retired much of anything yet. We're with U.S. Congressman Beto O'Rourke. Hello, Beto.
Good to see you, Dean. Good to be with you, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, but I'm right. You haven't retired from public service. You're still committed to getting out the vote and to getting out the truth, are you not, sir?
Absolutely. We are involved with an all-volunteer organization called Powered by People that is seeking to register as many voters ahead of the election here in Texas and then turn out as many voters as possible, given the historic nature of what will be decided on the 3rd of November. And not just for the president, state house races, state senate races, county commissioner, district judges, you name it. The most important issues facing this country and our lives are on the line on November 3rd. So I'm very much engaged, even if I'm not running for a specific office or even if I don't hold a specific title. I'm fulfilling my responsibilities as an American in this great democracy.
Being a good citizen. That's what we all need to be doing. Yes, sir.
Right.
Well, let me look at my notes here. Big news. 2 days ago, Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris as his VP candidate. Your thoughts in that regard, sir?
Look, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be the most progressive ticket in the history of the United States. Now, were they the most progressive candidates running for the nomination? No. But thanks to many other progressive candidates and to their own histories and backgrounds, experiences, and expertise, they have produced the most progressive platform in the history of this country in terms of a major party candidate and vice presidential candidate. And so I'm encouraged on that front. And then I'm also encouraged by the fact that, Dean, people like you, millions of others around this country are going to do everything they can to make sure they're successful, not just in defeating Donald Trump, but in making sure that they preside over a progressive administration. And it's incumbent upon all of us to hold them accountable on each and every issue, whether it's healthcare, criminal justice reform, climate, or ending this war on drugs that the United States is still prosecuting, 45 years or almost 50 years since it first began. So we've got our work cut out for us, but I do think we have very good partners and good faith partners in Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Right. And there are those that say, Joe was one of the leading proponents of mass incarceration, all that back when, but he's changing his ways. He's being influenced by me, by good folks around the country who have shown him that it hasn't panned out the way they had thought. And Kamala, I say it right, has been accused of being too much of a prosecutor, but she has changed her way. She led a new effort. What is it? The Marijuana Opportunity and Investment Bill, which seeks to undo some of the consequences of the prior laws and the ramifications thereof, right?
Absolutely. I think she understands, perhaps better than anyone, that the war on drugs largely has been waged against Black Americans and communities of color, and it has produced the largest prison population on the face of the planet, one disproportionately comprised of Black and brown people. And now, at a time that marijuana is legal in one form or another in more than half the states of the union, it is very hard for the formerly incarcerated, and those who have been prosecuted in the war on drugs, to be able to earn a living on the very issue for which they were punished. Meanwhile, as has been the case for time immemorial, the last 400 years in this country, white men primarily have an easier job of finding the investment capital, the legal pathway, and the means to profit off now the legal sale of cannabis in this country. And so I think Kamala understands that in addition to ending the war on drugs, you also have to look at restorative justice for those who've been unfairly prosecuted in that war on drugs. And part of that means access to the opportunities now in a legal marketplace for cannabis isn't it just for those who bore the brunt of this to have an opportunity to actually make a living going forward, if that's what they should choose to pursue. And so you're probably aware of this, Dean. There's some really interesting initiatives taking place in California, the state that she served as U.S. Senator and as Attorney General, where you have, I visited a dispensary in Oakland, for example, where you have the very people who had served time for sale of cannabis when the only recourse was to sell it in the black market, who are now given pride of place in being able to open up legal dispensaries that serve their community, hire people in the community, and begin to restore some of what was taken from them unjustly in the war on drugs. It resonates beyond party, and certainly beyond those who use cannabis. You talk to Democrat, Republican, Independent alike. You talk to cannabis and non-cannabis users, and people understand that the prevailing policies have done far more harm than good. Yeah. They also understand that when we talk about those who choose to or may need to use cannabis, we're talking about everyday Americans from every walk of life. We're talking about veterans who've come back from service with post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injury, who don't want to be prescribed the opioids to which they may become addicted, whose very doctors at the VA, if they were legally allowed to, might prescribe cannabis to reduce their suffering and their symptoms and help to get them back on their feet. We talk to cancer patients and end-of-life patients who don't want to be, walking around like zombies under the influence of a cocktail of prescribed medications, and in fact have found that the only thing that makes life worth living at that point and allows them to enjoy their families and enjoy their final days in very, very many instances is cannabis. And then there's this. A lot of people in America just want to get high, and they shouldn't be criminalized for having to do it. So whether it's out of medical necessity, whether it relieves symptoms or burdens that people otherwise would carry that would be too painful, or it is human nature that at times we want to alter, our consciousness, whether through alcohol, whether through cannabis. And as long as we're not harming anybody else in the process of doing that, then our laws should recognize that we are not criminals for wanting to do that. And I'm really grateful, Dean. And again, I've said this so many times to you on your show, but it's really thanks to you and people like you who have diligently and very often in the wilderness been pushing and pursuing this issue and making it something that now broadly the American public understands. And it is a day not too far in the future where we won't even have to have this conversation, at least when it comes to cannabis, because the country will have come to its senses. Majority of states have. Pretty soon the federal government will. And hell, Dean, who knows? It could be the Biden-Harris administration that finally ends the federal prosecution of marijuana and changes our drug laws to reflect reality.